It amazes me when I see people getting so happy about this guy Milei, the new president of Argentina. What does he call himself? The anarcho-capitalist president of Argentina. And when he went to WF and told people there that what did he say? Globalism is never going to win or whatever, something like that. And people get so happy about that, and I don't know why they get so happy about this, because when you actually read about what this guy stands for and what he wants, then you know that he's a plant. I mean, he's an agent, man. He's exactly like Meloni. He's a Meloni. Again, I mean, the first thing when I heard about this guy, I looked at what I just read up on his plans, what he proposes. And one of the things he proposes is to replace his nation's own currency with the US dollar. That's what he wants to. He wants to replace the Argentinian national currency with the US dollar. So tell me, how anti-globalist is this guy really? Think about this. He's saying that, we don't trust our own national bank, but we trust the Fed, we trust the US national bank. That's the one we're going to trust here. Think about this. This is crazy. This guy is not an anti-globalist. He pretends to be an anti-globalist, but he's not an anti-globalist. I mean, this guy with this anarcho-capitalist, anarcho-capitalista, whatever he calls himself. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Think about this. He's literally saying that what anarcho means no rules. Capitalist means big money. So what he's saying is that no rules for big money. That's what he stands for. But I mean, this highlights the problem with Western democracy right now, man. This highlights the problem with Western democracy right now, and we see this in Argentina, where the people got two choices, both of them bad. They got two choices, and both of them were terrible. They had the status quo guy on one hand, and they had this crazy fake anti-globalist on the other, this anarcho-capitalist on the other. That's the only choices they had. And then they chose this guy, who is a shill as well, who, if you just look at this guy for 5 minutes, I mean, it honestly didn't take me more than 5 minutes to just read up on what the hell he's proposing, and to see that this guy is as much a part of the club as everybody else. And then he goes to WF, and everybody's so freaking happy that he goes to WF and tells them that globalism is never going to win, but he's still at WF. Why? Ask why. If he is so anti-globalist, then why the hell is he at the WF to begin with? Because if I were a prime minister or president, I wouldn't even go to WF to begin with, because I know they're all a bunch of criminals. I know they're all a bunch of terrorists, basically. I mean, they sit there on their Swiss Alp mountain like a couple of James Bond villains. It's ridiculous. You know that these people are evil. You know that these people are trying to infiltrate every government on the planet. And then you say that I'm a president who is against WF, but yet you're going to WF anyway. Does this make sense? And at the same time, you're saying that I believe in national sovereignty, and I believe in independence, and I believe in creating wealth and independence for my people. But at the same time, I am scrapping our own national currency and going to the US dollar. This is the same thing that we saw in Europe. Don't forget about this. This is exactly the same thing we saw in Europe, where you had Meloni, who made big promises about Italy first, Italian sovereignty. The party's up for Europe, for the EU and stuff like that. We're going to fight the European corruption. And now she's shaking hands with Ursula von der Leyen and saying that, she so admires Ursula von der Leyen, and we really need European cooperation and European unity and so on. She has done a 180-degree turnaround, or 90-degree turnaround, and now she's suddenly very pro-European. And she's very pro-European, and it's all fantastic for her, and she's part of the club. And this is what happened in with Meloni. I mean, she's a Meloni is a shill, a traitor. She doesn't believe in national sovereignty, and she betrayed all the people who voted for her. And the same thing happened with Milei. He is an agent who betrayed all the people who voted for him. And again, Europe, we see this again. I mean, look at how in Europe, all these countries, and this was, don't forget, 25 years ago now. 25 years ago, all these countries, they swapped their own national currencies, like the mark, the guilder, and the franc, and whatnot, for the euro, a currency for which there was no economic reason, no economic necessity. It was a purely political project. And because there was no economic necessity, we see how this currency, the euro, has devaluated over the past 25 years. Don't forget, the euro was worth a lot more than the dollar when it started. A lot more than the dollar. Now, however, it's on par with the dollar, more or less. It's roughly on par with the dollar. It's roughly on par with the pound. It's basically roughly on par with every major currency of the Western world, because it's all basically the same thing anyway. So there was no economic necessity. It devaluated hugely. I mean, even according to the official figures, the devaluation of the euro over the past 25 years was about 30%. And that's only the official figures. In reality, of course, we know that the devaluation of the euro is way, way, way more. So then you have to ask yourself, this experiment, what was the point? What was the point? Purely from an economic perspective, which should be the most important perspective for a financial instrument like a national or block currency right here. What is the point? What's the necessity? And we see that there is actually no necessity. It was a political project to keep all the European countries in the same block and basically create this European unification where it all comes under one political umbrella of the European Commission, which is not elected by anyone. It has never been elected by anyone, because the EU is fundamentally non-democratic, and this is the same playbook that we see everywhere. It's the same playbook we saw in the EU. It's the same playbook we saw in Italy with Giorgia Meloni, who pretended to be right-wing, who pretended to be populist, who pretended to be nationalist, but in the end it turned out that she was as much a globalist as everyone else. The same thing we see with Milei, who was ranting about this and that and whatever, who pretended to be like Argentina first and so on and so forth. But even there, again, we see that he doesn't really mean it, and it's so easy to prick through this illusion, to prick through this balloon that they build up if you just need to look, if you just know where to look, if you just pay some attention. So this is the lesson. Don't believe these guys. Don't believe. Pay attention. Actually do your homework. Actually read up what people say and what they promise and what they say that they want to do. Don't just listen to the mood that they are creating. Don't just look at the image that they are portraying, but actually read about the shit that they want to do and the shit that they propose. And don't just believe these bastards, because people like Milei, don't get too happy about that guy. Don't get too happy about that guy, because that guy is a globalist as much as everybody else, with his stupid triangle flags, with his stupid black and gold triangle flag. Is anarcho-capitalist, which basically just means no rules for the rich people. That's what that means, eh? So don't get too happy about Milei. Don't get too happy about Meloni. Don't get too happy about Wilders. Don't get too happy about any of these people. Pay attention and use your brain, and be skeptical and cynical as shit, because what else can you do, man? What else can you do?